Welcome back to the Renegade Report. I'm Greg Kerr. Happy to have head coach Jeff Chudy back as we're talking BC football as they get ready to play Golden West this Saturday. The home opener, by the way, for the Renegades. But before we get there, you lost to Riverside City. That's one game. But probably the bigger loss, Curtis McGregor, because that loss comes back week in, week out because of what happened to him, and that's his injury. So before I have you comment on it, we'll look at the play right here where Curtis catches a pass, and even though we have the near sideline sort of obstructing it a little bit, you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of the way he came down on this play. After we watch it once, Jeff, I'll just have you describe it afterward because we have it again in slow motion, but you can see him coming down right there and in obvious pain. Doc Baker, who's our guest in the next segment, walking him off right here. But describe, again, what you saw and what you know, Jeff.
Well, actually, when it all became medically clear as to what the injury actually was, it was very similar to Deshaun Miller, receiver that we had in 2007, who had a fracture. And the thing that was crazy to me is that Deshaun had his arm stuck out and got it stuck in the ground, and you could see why that thing fractured. And Curtis, in his situation, it looked like that he landed on his shoulder, and everybody thought he had a shoulder issue. And when they X-rayed it, that wasn't the case. So, the thing that hurts for us is Curtis is a guy that football it is a big reason why he's stayed in school and he's pursued getting a college degree. He's a first-generation college student out of his family, and he's really starting to figure out that school and is important in terms of changing his life and changing the people that live, his relatives in their lives too. It's something that is a goal of his to get his college degree. It's a goal for him to play Division I football, and he's had a setback, although it's a major setback. Right now, I think down the road it's going to be looked at as a temporary setback, and we can only hope that the rehab part goes great, and he stays into the school part, and he doesn't let the physical part of being hurt affect the mental part. That's a tough thing. Injuries are a tough thing because there's so much that goes on in the psyche part of it, in between your ears, and it's really easy to get depressed and
separation from the team, really.
No question. And so, but I hope that he's strong enough. I think he's mentally strong enough to handle that, and I think he's on to getting his degree from BC. And there's no doubt in my mind there's a Division I school out there that will recruit him off the film that he has. For us, he's been a night and day difference. This summer, he's really learned a lot. He's had a lot of opportunities to grow as a man, and he's learned a lot. And I think from a leadership standpoint, he really worked extremely hard. He was so fit, he was a guy that was doing it by example. And that's the frustrating thing is you lose a good locker room guy who's a quality player, and it's just it hurts. But at the end of the day, we got to try and figure out who's going to step up to the plate
and
next.
the mantra is next man up. So what are you looking at here?
It's just we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
What are your options?
Our options are we're not bringing in Adrian Peterson. I can tell you that. So we move on. So again, my hope is that Curtis continues to stay strong mentally. And he gets that degree from Bakersfield College, and he moves on to a Division I school that will, where he'll be success athletically and get his college degree, and that's going to, at the end of the day, mean something.
Yeah, and
not
as you
just to him,
to me,
to his family.
and as you mentioned to me during the break, possible medical redshirt, and he can play 3 years at that school.
Yeah, I think that's what will happen. The NC2A has a crazy rule on hardships and all that stuff, but man, when a guy has a severe injury like he has, and you have all the medical documentation. Burrell got one, so I can't imagine why he wouldn't get one. So we're thinking about Curtis. We love him dearly, but we got a game to play on Saturday.
Right. Before we get to Golden West, talk a little bit because fans and media like we sort of just get this tunnel vision on things, and one would be quarterback. So, Tarek, how do you do? Your thoughts in terms? Obviously, there's 10 other guys that are going to, have an impact on his play, but obviously he's got decisions to make.
I agree with you with fans and media comment because the quarterback position it's no different than that corner who just did a great job for 80% of that play and he didn't finish. The quarterback position's no different in the sense of footwork, ball handling, mental mistakes, and the whole 9 yards. That they are graded just like the rest of us. It's not like we have to we're not putting the quarterback on a plateau where he gets graded more severely or less severely than the next guy. We're going to look at each position and evaluate him collectively the same. Obviously, he has more margin of error in the sense that he touches the ball every play, and he's responsible for calling protections in the way we do things, and sometimes we'll have a run pass check, and he's responsible for checking the play. But at the end of the day, he's just like everybody else, and we got to get better at that position, and we got to get better at a lot of positions. You don't score that few points, and you don't give up that many points without needing a major improvement all around. So he's got to get better. That position's got to get better, and just like the rest of our football team, we got to get better between now and Saturday.
And before I get to Golden West a little bit, if I were, I got a stat sheet sitting right here, and if I were to cover up the part where it says score, and I just looked at these stats, first downs only 3 fewer. Outrushed them. I know they almost tripled you in passing yards, but a lot of these stats, and the worst stat of them all, time of possession, which really means nothing. But I wouldn't think 51-3 by looking at these numbers.
Well, the field position thing, and the big plays. They big played us. And we can't, you can't play the game. Defensively, you go into every game. We go into every game saying we're not going to give a play over 20 yards. And I think we had 6 or 7 over, close to 40. So it's just one of those things that you got to use it as I don't mean to sound repetitive, but it's a learning experience, a teachable moment.
Yeah.
They understand what this game's at this level. I mean, they had 3 bounce-back Division I receivers. They had 2 bounce-back tight ends. The quarterback was a bounce-back. I mean, they had a bunch of bounce-back guys that can play. They're older guys that are, 21, 22 years old, that have been in programs, college programs, been through spring practice, that have talent. And they weren't on their roster last year.
Yeah. They
had 1 receiver, 1 running back, none of their tight ends on their roster. So these guys came in and they got a lot done. You got to give them credit. Talent takes you so far, and Kraft did a good job with those guys, and the guy that coaches their defense, Cuck, did a nice job with those guys, and they've only had them for some guys probably only had them since the summer.
Right.
But they executed, they got it done, and we played the best team that we'll play all year from a talent standpoint, and so that was the litmus test. We're not at that level yet. We aspire to be at that level.
Right.
But in order for us to get that level, we got to get a lot better.
Yeah. Well, at least you saw it up close and personal. At least your kids did. So
yeah, we did.
I don't know who made the schedule. You got Golden West
Jim
coming up
Sartoris,
next.
favorite guy.
We got 90 seconons left here. So what about Golden West? Yeah. Okay, Jim.
Yeah, Jim Sartoris. Oh well, we got to play somebody.
Yeah.
Golden West quality football team. Their coach, Nick Mitchell's done a really nice job getting their guys, getting that program turned around. They were kind of a program that was in transition for a lot of years, and I think he's brought some stability to what they're doing. And last year they had a great season, one of 4 teams to make it to the playoffs out of 37, and they're 1-0 right now. And so they had a quarterback that's a handful. He's a shifty, crafty, mobile guy that creates a lot of havoc when the ball's in his hands. He's made some big plays by keeping alive and finding a guy who just gets lost in the secondary, and so scrambling. So that's got to be a number one concern of us, is to contain him and, get him down and not let him run around back there and, like chaos, camp
Right.
chaos. So we can't let that happen. And, defensively, they're just a solid football team. They don't do anything super flashy. And we've got to get better offensively. We got to be able to move the chains and get first downs and score points. If you stack up on their first downs, you're going to score some points.
Yeah. All right. There's option quarterbacks. I'm going to let you be an option coach here. I'm bringing in Doc Baker next segment.
Dr. Baker.
So I'll either have you say a few words about Doc Baker now, or
Sure.
can you hang around next segment, sit next to him, and I'll ask you about Doc Baker.
I can say.
You can stay?
Yeah, I'll stay around for
All right,
Doc
fantastic.
Baker.
All right.
He does a lot for us in our program, and, it's the least I could do. But
All right.
there's an ex-Renegade long snapper.
Yeah.
You'd never
Yeah.
know it now.
Tell that story next segment.
Wow.
That's what we'll do. We'll take a break here on the Renegade Report. Back with Doc Baker in a moment.